As a young scientist, brain cancer is the final frontier. There are a lot of opportunities for new discoveries, new innovations, and the mountain that we have to climb is huge. For me, as somebody who's always tried to push boundaries, that's why I got into science. That is an exciting opportunity.
I think most of the applications have been very good. We obviously can't grant to everybody, but I think we've been pretty careful about being transparent, making clear decisions, basing it on the science, basing it on opportunity, and basing it on really the foundation's view about trying to improve the care of cancer patients, brain cancer patients.
Our project is really to try and discover a biomarker for brain cancer, which a biomarker is something, can be any kind of test. It can be a tumour sample, or in our case a blood sample, that helps us to understand the tumour better and its behaviour better.
This antibody has been created to specifically attack a cancer protein. It's one that we think is restricted to the cancer cell that will kill it, but not the normal cells. So, and we've already had some experience in people to say it's safe. So it has all the characteristics of a great anti-cancer drug.
We know our cell function is determined by our genetic content, materials. But on top of our genetic material is what we call the epigenetic code. We want to use the genetic engineering to create cells, normal cells that carry this mutation on H3.3 and ATRX, and understand how this could start the changes in epigenetic codes and how that may drive cancer in the beginning.
We know that radiation is effective in treating brain cancer, but unfortunately the cancer comes back in most of the patients. So by adding this drug to the radiation, we are hoping to improve the outcome of patients by increasing the damage to the tumor.
We've developed an antibody which targets GBM in patients. What we want to do is try and understand better which patients will respond best to treatment, but in particular in patients that respond but then may relapse, why they relapse, so that we can improve the treatment and get better outcomes.
I'm a strong believer in the fact that we cannot treat all patients the same, and especially with brain tumours. Every single tumour that we see is completely different.
So there's a target in brain cancer, potential target, called EGFR. And in other cancers, particularly lung cancers, when that's altered or mutated, you can target that protein EGFR with drugs. And those patients actually respond, and they can actually go into remission for 12 months, maybe even 2 years. In brain cancer, when you treat the patients with these compounds, they don't respond at all. And so this project is around trying to understand why they don't respond, and then maybe what we can combine these EGFR drugs with to make them more responsive and effective in brain cancer patients.
Things have accelerated a lot in the last couple of years. I think we have a much better understanding of the human genome now, and we now, for the first time in history, have technology that can actually screen the whole genome and can do this kind of project. So we can screen hundreds or thousands of genes in just a few hours for about $1,000, whereas just 5 years ago that was almost impossible. So it really is technology driven, a lot of the research.
We're aiming to develop a molecular imaging platform based on targeting the FA2 receptor. What we envisage is something like a personalised medicine approach, whereby a patient who presented with a brain tumour would go in and we would take an image with our imaging agent, and we would use that to decide on whether that patient is a strong candidate for a particular targeted therapy or not.
I thought that the quality of the presentations was amazing. Things have come out of the woodwork that I never knew existed, and I think it's a very exciting time for neuro-oncology research in Australia.
One person can't be everything, so I think we need a group like this to assess grant applications, make decisions, work out what's best for our patients and our community, and I think that's exactly what we're doing at this table. We're making sure that we've got the expertise around the table to make transparent, careful, considered and appropriate decisions.
I think there's a role for everyone. Science for the clinical studies which are done by our expert clinicians, pharmaceutical companies which are responsible for funding the very large and expensive clinical trials, but also other funding sources to understand the science, such as the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation, play an incredibly important role.